Welcome to Sonic Talk, episode number 359. We're getting towards some sort of 360. That feels like there should be some portentous something or other for it. But anyway, 360 is good to go. So I want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. I'm Nick Batt, editor of SonicState.com, and of course our sponsors, show sponsors, iZotope, who will be announcing the winner of last week's competition, where one lucky contributor will be winning a copy of RX3, their sort of audio restoration suite. So stay tuned for that. That's what's known in the trade as a teaser, I'm told, and that's what I'm trying to do. So that means you keep listening. But you should want to keep listening anyway, because we've got a great show for you. And I'm going to start off, because we haven't had him for a little while. Let's say hello to Mr. Robbie Bronnimann. Oh, and hello, Shaz, who's just running out in the corner.
Right.
Robbie there in Robot Studios with his modular kit. Been rehearsing recently, I hear, Robbie.
Yeah, getting ready for the summer gig. So we've done our first gig and it's all going well. Yeah, although everything that we thought might potentially go wrong all worked perfectly. And then the gear we've been using for years that never fails just went wrong.
Ah, okay. This is, of course, playing with Howard Jones, presumably, is it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. It was interesting when the drummer's kit just kept turning off. And Howard and I had to just sort of amble along with no drums for sort of a verse and a chorus at a time. Rebooted, which we've never had.
Oh, that sounds a bit harsh.
Yeah, we've never had that before anyway. I think it was a dodgy firewire cable. So
thank goodness for SSDs though, eh? That brings it all back a bit quicker.
Yeah, quick load up. Yeah.
Anyway, Robbie, of course, producer, songwriter, composer, and also MD for Howard Jones. I'm guessing you're going to be off on tour for a little while, so we won't have your presence for some time. How long are you off for?
Well, it's a lot of weekend gigs up until August, and then we've got the big US tour, right. US and South America. So second half of August, right the way through till sort of second half of September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you very much for joining us. You can find out more about what Robbie does. You check him out, Sushi Friday Music on Facebook, him, and also a YouTube channel now, finally, so we can share your videos, which I will do, because you posted a bunch of stuff. In fact, there was a video of you appearing in our show last week, which is pretty mad. That was a kind of meta content. So thank you very much for that. And we'll also go to Mr. Mark Tinley. Why ever not? Mark Tinley with no hat, but a good head of hair. And
hello.
Just eating a biscuit. Mark Tinley, of course, creative thinker and music technologist, and what looks like the proud owner of, is that your Behringer C1 USB version now that we're listening to?
It is, actually, yeah.
Excellent. It's nice to have...
I love it. You just plug it in and it works. Brilliant.
That's all you really want from something. Before? That's the way it's supposed to work.
No more valves and wires. Just one. Although I have discovered, actually, USB leads are not all the same. So it came with a cheap USB lead, and I thought, God, this mic's really noisy. And then when I threw the cheap USB lead away and plugged in like a gold-plated professional one, it suddenly got really quiet.
Really? I've never heard of that. That's interesting.
No, seriously. And the way what really drew my attention to it was I used the USB lead that came with the mic on my little VRM box with a set of headphones, and I was thinking, God, what's that noise in the background? And it's like, it's the power supply for the computer the power rail sends something horrible down the line, and I end up with this kind of crackling through everything.
Wow, I've never heard of that. That's a top tip. So
switched the lead and it went away.
Good Lord. Amazing. That's the sort of top tip that you should listen into this show for. So there you go. That's for nothing. Fantastic. Nice one, Mark. Thank you very much. And that was just the introduction. There's so much more to come, including Mr. Rich Hilton, who's over there in sunny Connecticut, where he mans the controls in Niles Rogers' private studio facility, and also is a member of Chic, and is generally not here because he's gigging everywhere. Like we said before, pretty much everywhere in the world you'll see a poster for something that Rich is involved in, or something. That seems fair enough. How are you, Rich?
Good, thank you.
Excellent. And you busy at the moment, or are you having a slight lull, or is it okay?
It's all good. and busy, yes. And yeah, good music, good times.
Excellent. Sounds like the title of a song. There.
Cool gear. I'm sitting on my brand new Aeron chair right now. Which I'm very pleased about.
Oh, cool. Did you go for the foil back or the air back or a different kind of back? Because they got different sorts of models. Because I'm sitting on mine here.
Does that tell you right there?
Yeah, it does.
The black.
There we go.
The black.
Snap.
You know.
I've got one of those too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We've got them at the studio, and I've been sitting in them for years. But here at home, I'd been sitting on a hardwood chair for many years, and now it's all good.
Excellent.
It was good before, but this is way better.
Now,
and,
yeah,
I'm happy.
It's like a chair, but luxury chair. It's good for one's posture. Well, I'm glad to hear that. You must be feeling very properly aligned and all of that sort of thing.
Yes, I'm very well aligned today.
Gaz Williams, what are you sitting on?
An IKEA office chair.
Good man. Well, IKEA is just down the road because Gaz Williams is in Bristol, sunny Bristol by the looks of it. Gaz is a professional bass player and music producer, mastering engineer, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, Gaz, how are you?
Mastering. It's like I got loads of mastering work on, and just as the weather's getting lovely as well, so it's
Well,
but it's good.
That's the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah, mastering. I've got a secret weapon now, but we'll talk about that
later. We got a little secret weapons thing later. Yes, so
excellent.
Yeah, nice tease. You're getting the hang of it. Excellent. Not that you're not. Of course you're not. Anyway, well, let's start off things rolling. I think the first thing I was going to look at was here we go. Let's play this. This is a video posted by Perfect Circuit Audio, a dealer in the States. Look at that. DX100. Nice. Analogue Solutions Polymath. That is... It's got the look of an 8-track video cassette, a VHS recorder, and a synthesizer, and one of those kind of early binatone hi-fis. I'm liking the look. Anyway, this is the new paraphonic analog modular, which does look great. And this was a video that they posted. Analogue Solutions, I believe, are an English company, right? I think they're based in the UK. I hope I've got that right. I always get it wrong. There's Analogue Solutions and Analogue Systems. Well, anyway.
Analogue Solutions are UK, yeah.
Hooray! Thank you, Robbie. So, tempted?
I've looked at that for a long while. That was on the radar when I was thinking about getting Eurorack, and I just thought, no, I'm just going to go the whole hog. So as you know, I'm on a no analog gear thing at the moment, so that's definitely not on the radar for me.
No, it does look nice. I mean, it's one of the. It's got 4 VCOs.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think I've got some screenage here. So if we go to my screenshot, we've got 4 VCOs, multi-mode VCF, audio input, 2 LFOs, 2 ADSRs, 8-step analog sequencer, arpeggiator, poly mode, which is paraphonic, unison mode with mega fatness, ring modulator, sample and hold, all the usual kind of stuff, and a carry handle. But it's got that kind of luggage thing that I just love.
Can I ask a question then? Can you define exactly what paraphonic means?
Paraphonic means multiple oscillators going through the same VCA and VCF. So basically you don't get individual note envelopes for each time you press. It all shares the same VCA. So if you were playing, say, a velocity sensitive instrument and you played 3 notes and then the 4th note you played really quietly because it was velocity sensitive, everything would go quiet. It wouldn't just be that note. So that's a kind of would you agree, Rich? You're probably more versed in the analog modular sales than I am from your past.
Oh, I don't know what they mean by that. So I can't say for sure whether what you just said is. I can't speak to that at all.
Okay. Well, let's just assume I'm absolutely spot on then and know everything, just for the sake of argument.
I was there anyway.
Excellent. Yeah. So it basically means, Gaz, that you can play notes simultaneously. So with 4 VCOs, you could get 4 voices out of it. assuming you patched it up correctly and had the right control and what have you. So yeah, in fact, there is quite a lot of stuff coming out at the moment for controlling multiple oscillators and playing them polyphonically. I think Mutable Instruments have got one, which currently our other modular reviewer Ed is looking at. So we're going to take a look at that. And also there's something from Future Retro, I believe, which is a rack mount, which I'm quite interested in this. It takes MIDI in signal and then splits the notes out, and you can have them assigned as however you want. And so you could probably use something like that to go along with it. I don't know. I'm getting really excited by the thought of modular again. I've just got. What do we get? I bought the IntelliGel Atlantis. I couldn't resist it. I know. I mean, I know you all think I get it for nothing, but it's not true. I very kindly have had a couple of modules sent from suitandtieguy.com and .mix, which are little utility modules, which are very useful. I'm going to review those later. But I've just been sent this, which is I better say what it is. I don't think I can pronounce it. I haven't had a chance. Jadonla, and this is a CV Hertz volts to volt octave, so it's for taking signals and going, say, between a Moog an MS-20, Korg MS-20, and standard Eurorack stuff, and it's got 2 channels and it goes in both directions. So that's next for review. And they very kindly also sent a little mult, which I'm probably not going to review because it's just a mult, but they're always useful, these things. But that's a 6-way mult.
Is that plastic or metal?
It's plastic. It's but it's a special kind of plastic. It's laser etched, apparently.
Oh.
So now I've got quite a lot of mults, but and what have you. But they are incredibly useful in that situation, especially if you're going to be doing polyphonic oscillator triggering. But anyway, so. It's not cheap. This it's what did it work out? I think there's a price on here somewhere. Yeah, that's at the bottom. $4,236, $2,399. I guess in dollars you're probably getting a bum deal just purely because it's the trade thing and it's got to be shipped over. I know, Rich. I know that you've just recently fallen in love with your Arturia microbrute. This has got some modular patching in there. You're going to get it a little buddy to play with. You've got to get some 3.5mm adapter jacks, obviously, to talk to each other. But surely you can't stop there.
No, I was a little surprised by the price of this thing, actually.
Yeah.
But it sounded great, but it's very expensive, and no, I'm not likely to buy one. But in addition to the microbrute, which I have here in love, I also now have set up the Electron analog keys.
Right. So you've got time to look at it.
Yeah, I've been playing around with it, and it's fun. I enjoy it.
What do you think of the sound?
It sounds good. I'm getting used to the way they want you to operate it, and that's fine, but I don't love editing sounds in that window, and I kind of knew I wouldn't.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point. Well, that's a very. I think the thing about it is, it doesn't sound like, say, a Moog or whatever. It's definitely got quite an ambient vibe to it, hasn't it? It's got a sort of. It encourages you to throw things into the effects because they're so big and vast and ambient.
I've managed to get some very thick, like Moogy kind of sounds out of the analog keys.
The waveforms do sound good.
Yeah, I think I do totally agree with what Rich was saying about the whole kind of approach with the little screen on the analog keys and the knobs. And you said, Nick, as well, you said you turned the wrong knob quite often.
I don't know why. Yeah, it's what it does is excuse me, I've just stripped off. It's getting a bit hot in here. Talking about synthesizers that does it. There's for some reason there's an offset. It makes me. I keep reaching for one across. I don't know if you found the same thing, but
yeah, I have found exactly the same thing. But I just wondered if, and I wonder if the chat room can help out here. I was wondering if, and this would apply to the Electron Analog 4 as well. I was just wondering if anyone's done really comprehensive, either mapping for it for a hardware or for software.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good idea. That's definitely a good idea. Mark Tinley, I can see a space for a synthesizer like that in your house. I just think it would go with what you've got going on.
We just put an offer in on a house and we're buying it apparently. So we're going to have a great big new space for putting things in. I can't. I'm not going to spend that much money on a modular synth, and given that the whole topic shifted to the analog keys instead of this, I love the way the analog keys sound because it sounds like a cross between a Wasp and a Prophet to me. The analog keys, it's got that kind of both the gnarliness and the sort of soft metallic smoothness of. So the gnarliness of the Wasp and the soft metallic smoothness of the Prophet, and you can go in some really nice areas on it. I'm still building things with computers. So building my computer setup and moving from Mac to PC.
Yeah, that's going to take up a lot of your time, isn't it? I mean, it's bound to. A whole workflow.
I kind of got it. I've got it somewhere where it's working for me. And there's so many good modular kind of software things that I can play around with just a laptop and headphones. That I mean, I think it's the Meccano of it that makes it exciting, isn't it? Like the modules, the nuts and bolts, and the bits and pieces. I think.
Yeah. It's a stylish boutique product, isn't it?
Maybe I could sell all my motorcycles and then get into building things with nuts and bolts. Then I can't kill myself if I can't run into a car on a modular synth, can you?
That's true, and the voltage range is much lower. Well, anyway, if you want one, you can head over to. You can either get it from. Directly from Perfect Circuit Audio in the US, or get Analogue Solutions and find a dealer. And I'm sure that I imagine they're not rolling. They haven't got warehouses full of them. You probably have to pre-order or something. But I won't be held on that. But anyway, if you fancy it, then go for it. It does lead to another topic, which was. I think actually maybe what we'll do is we'll go to the backup thing next, because then we can come back to the secret weapon. But the backup thing was kind of interesting, just purely. I found this on. This was actually on Eric Persing's Facebook, because he posted something the other day about just going out for a walk and bumping into Justin Bieber riding a horse, which was really surreal. But anyway, this is a new Sony tape format, and it smashes the storage record. You can get 185 terabytes of data on one cartridge here, and it's quite it is quite timely, because at the moment we've got a lot of video editing to do. We've had a lot of people in filming stuff. There'll be some great stuff coming up, and so we're moving around these enormous amounts of data and thinking about backups and what have you. And there's two things that threads to this topic really, which is one, tape, is it a viable thing? I mean, I think the transfer speeds are going up now, but then B, perhaps what your backup strategies are, and any stories you might have to tell, perhaps, Robbie.
Oh dear! I know that last week it was like the worst day, the darkest day of my studio career. It was horrendous because, I mean, like I said in the email, I think I've got a very sussed backups plan. I've got my system drive on an SSD. I've got an audio hard drive, a samples hard drive, and another hard drive in my Mac. And one's and the other one's for updaters. I keep a whole catalogue of all the latest updaters, and then I've got an external set of these drives that are rack mounted, these Lassie ones, which are identical sizes, which I super duper every day. And then I've got another set of portable ones, which I super duper once a week and leave somewhere else, not in the house. And
right.
I went for rehearsals last week, and I'd done 2 days of loads of work on the set. And it was like about 6 a.m. I finished, and I thought, I won't do the super duper today. It was literally the first time I haven't done it in about 5 years. I religiously do it every day. Came back from rehearsals 2 days later, went to do some changes that we needed to do, and there was this horrible clicking noise, and literally the drive just failed.
Oh, Jesus.
The only time I've had one of those failed is like a Velociraptor brand, only a month and a half old drive. And I suddenly thought, that's it. I haven't got the backup because I didn't do the super duper. That's it. That's the end of all that work.
Oh, man.
So I did find a program called Disk Drill, which actually, although the drive wouldn't mount, it would extract data off it.
So it wasn't totally screwed. It was just the.
No, so it was fantastic. It worked, and it got everything off the drive eventually after a very long scan time. But it was just that whole thing of I have that in place, and the one time literally I never do it is the one time it decided to die.
So have you thought about using tape for just a great big sort of other repository where you can leave stuff? Because we've used tape in the past, and it's it is a bit of a faff.
I mean, when you work, like you say, when you've got a lot of projects and a lot of back projects that you never know when somebody's going to ask you to come back to it and do stuff. Even if you've got like 3 sets of drives, like I've got for all your kind of that stuff is basically a year's worth of work at a time. I can fit on it. I guess for all those projects that back up in terms of, excuse the pun, for years and years, it would be great to have something that was reliable with mass storage, but I've just never found anything that fitted the bill. Perhaps this is it.
Because I suppose you've got all of those drives lying around, but I mean, say drives from 5 years ago, do you still spin them up every once in a while to make sure that they're okay?
Yeah. I mean, you do that, don't you? You do that every few months. I do that, but I've had them fall off the radar as well. And then you've got all these different formats, haven't you? You've got all these drives, some with Firewire, some with Thunderbolt, or with USB, some with all these different things. You've got to keep all the power supplies for all these different types of drives. So I actually took them all out of their cases and just got one of those icebox things, which just allows you to slot a SATA drive straight into it.
Yeah.
So I've just got a box full of all these SATA drives in cases now that I can go to.
Is that the 4-bay icebox? Because I was thinking about getting one of those, because we've literally just got some eSATA cards for the Mac Pro here, because we have to, when we're moving kind of projects, like for instance, if we're filming here, we've got 6 cameras maybe in a screen, which is a ridiculously large amount of data, plus a switch. That's, for a day's filming, that could be 100 gigs plus easily. And, moving that over USB, just forget
I mean, I've just got a 2-port one. It allows you to copy between 2 drives that you slot in directly, or you can link it out to the computer to move stuff around.
Right.
But I mean, it's the age-old thing, isn't it? You just worry, you put all your eggs in these baskets and wonder how long they're going to last.
Yeah, no, it's a tricky one. I know, Gaz, I mean, if you're doing mastering and what have you, I suppose the amount of data that you're dealing with is not massive, because, it's the final end of the project rather than all the project files generally. So, but I mean, you must generate a bunch of stuff yourself. What are you using now? I mean, would you use tape? I mean, because these things apparently will do, the transfer speed is actually 300 gigs a second now, or 300 megabits a second, so you can get megabytes a second. You can get a decent amount in and out of them fairly quickly.
No, I don't think. I think tape is one format that I've abandoned now for good. I think. I'm not sure. I've been. I came very close to going to the Gobbler system, which they had a sale on recently. That was enormous savings, but that's ended now. So not sure now. I'll wait until the next sale maybe. But Gobbler, obviously, that's gonna use up your internet bandwidth, I suppose, your upload while it's working away. But it's quite a nice idea to have it somewhere outside of your house, especially for your most precious files. I think this is something I would like to see what everyone else does in this situation. When you've got stuff on a hard drive backed up, and it's quite a big project, and then you do some work on that project, and then you want to back it up again, but really all you want to save on the backup is the changes from the previous version. How does everyone do that? I mean, I've got a little piece of software called Delta Walker, which compares
That's the way. I mean, the way that we do it here, for instance. But this isn't on the audio side. I've got a program on the PC called GoodSync, which allows you to sync left or right, but bi-directional. Just compares dates and sizes and just kind of goes right. There, these two drives are now identical, or all the new stuff has gone over. Everything that's changed goes onto the B drive. Because
isn't it? Oh, sorry. Carry on.
We always run a pair of drives, so all times, inside the Mac Pro, there's the work drive, and then there's a work B drive, which is now, because we found a Sonic PCI card, which would run it externally, a 3 GB one externally. It just syncs that up. So every day there's 2 drives. So, I mean, that's the way to do it.
Why isn't it built into the operating system, though?
It's a very good question.
I want operating system to do. I just want to go, I want the difference between this folder and this folder. I want this folder to,
Yeah, you think that would make sense to be on an OS level.
I use Carbon Copy Cloner.
Yeah, that's good.
And then and then I have a workspace drive, and then I clone it to an image, And then if I change anything in the image, when you clone again, it moves. Anything that's deleted gets moved into another folder, and anything. So if you record something new with the same name, it'll move the old version to a folder with the date and time of when you did the backup on it. So it kind of incrementally backs up. So you've got like your folder with the session in it, and then you've got a history of changes, which that's quite useful.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a good strategy, isn't it? Because you end up with, you don't want, if you've worked on a session, when you sync it up, and then maybe the day after you realise that you actually screwed up and you need to go back and you hadn't saved a revert copy, then you've effectively overwritten it unless you've got history written stuff, haven't you? So
yeah.
How often? And is that a daily? Do you do that at the end of every session? That carbon copy clone?
I do on Friday at 2:00.
I do super duper every day. It's the same thing.
Every day, yeah.
It's the same thing. But I mean,
what's it called, Robbie?
Super duper.
I do super duper, which is another one. It'll make a boot drive. It's exactly like carbon copy cloner. But the great thing is, like you're saying, is when you back up, it just sees what's been added on your drive you're backing up to, and so it just copies the new files.
Right.
So the thing where that really comes into its own is like when you've got a samples hard drive, and because quite often these samples get put into libraries within folders when you install them. So you can't use the traditional method of dragging files from one drive to another to try and keep two samples hard drives the same. But if you use super duper, it'll literally just find all the new files and put them all into the right place, even if that's folders within folders, etc.
Can you schedule that then as well to do that?
You can do, but I just like to plug them in one at a time and do it myself. Yeah.
So, Rich, I'm guessing you've obviously got a fairly serious backup routine as well. I know how you feel about putting some of this stuff in the cloud, but what about tape? Is that something? Do you use? I can't remember whether you said you use tape.
For years, AIT tapes were our backup storage medium of choice, and Retrospect was my software of choice. Yeah, and I used AIT1, and I used AIT2, and I used AIT2 Turbo. And then all of a sudden, Retrospect decided to update their software to a point where it would no longer read your existing catalog files, and would then insist on recreating them from the source tapes, which takes forever and never seems to fully work.
Yeah.
So I am now saddled with huge amounts of data on tapes that I am not looking forward to having to restore if I ever do have to restore. However, the vast majority of our work is still existent on hard drives. And the current strategy is all hard drives exist in pairs. And there are always mirrors being kept between those of the drives, so that now for my purposes, I use software called Synchronize Pro X for this. And while I'm working, I will, or certainly at the end of the day, update that drive pair, or at least the folder I was working on within that drive pair, so that the drives continue to mirror each other. And every now and again, I'll mirror the whole drive. Just to be safe. And then in addition to that, as a third copy, I now run a RAID array, which is a RAID 5, 6 terabytes worth of storage space and 2 terabytes for free to keep everything running smoothly. Of course, I'm on my third one, which is not necessarily the most secure feeling in the world for your ultimate backup system. But that gets backups of those other audio drive pairs, as well as my sound library drive. So inside my main computer, there's the system SSD, which gets backed up to Time Machine. And we used to make clones using the Apple OS. Now I'm using Carbon Copy Cloner.
Yeah, the Apple OS doesn't work if you make disk images, by the way.
I never made disk images, but I used to use the restore function to make disk bootable clones. And for some reason, I don't seem to be able to do that now. And so I actually pulled a copy of Carbon Copy Cloner down and bought it and used it, and I haven't actually tested the result yet. But I have a Time Machine backup of the system drive in any case at all times. I have a Sound Libraries drive, which is backed up to the RAID, and I have 2 audio drives, which are mirrors of each other. And then externally, any audio drives have mirrored are in mirrored pairs so that I can keep things current between them.
And are you using eSATA for any of that stuff? Because I mean, seems to be one of the fastest ways to copy.
I think I have the RAID drive on the eSATA, and I have something else plugged into the other eSATA drive, but I think it's just a drive that for some other purpose.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that they use RAID drives in the chat room, and that's all well and good. But I must admit, there's one thing you've got to watch out with RAID drives. It's quite easy if you've got a mirrored pair. If you don't get the right RAID enclosure or the RAID controller, what happens is the synchronization data is written onto the drives. So if one of the drives goes down, you can't actually get the data. It's just that's one system that we had, and it's just like, well, okay, so one drive's gone and I can't see the other one because the data is spanned. Yeah, it was really nasty and messy. So now I always tend to work in mirrors purely because if you've got an A drive and a B drive, you work. At the end of the day, you can choose to sync, and you might think, actually, I'm not going to sync that part of the project because I want to keep a yesterday's copy of everything apart from this. So you've got a bit more flexibility. It does require more interaction, but ultimately it's more failure proof, I guess.
I've got a thing called a Terra station. I've got a thing called a Terra station.
That's a NAS drive, isn't it?
It's a RAID drive. It's got it's network attached storage, but it's got 4 disks in it, and you can take one of the disks out, and it will then, and in other words, let's make that clearer. I can take a disk out and replace it with a formatted blank one, and it will recreate across those 4 drives what was there before. And you can take any one of those 4 disks out, and it will recreate the data. And I think it's RAID 5 that it's formatted to. So it's because it's across 4 disks, it gives it the
redundancy, isn't it? Yeah, extra redundancy.
Parity or something. And now I'm getting a bit lost. But I do know that I can pull a drive out and put a fresh one in, and it will just recreate itself from the data that's there.
So if one of those drives fails, you just keep swapping them out, and it'll always recreate.
Swap it out. It'll always recreate it.
Until you run out of space, then you've got to start again. As you say, Rich, you're on your 3rd one. They start to get expensive when you've got to buy drives in 5s, isn't it? Just as
I don't mean 3rd drive. I mean my 3rd entire RAID system.
That's what I mean, yeah.
And as of the last time they were replacing it, I said to them, tell me the truth. Do these things actually work? Because I've had 2 of them fail inside of a period of a year, and it's in a climate-controlled closet, never getting moved. So I can't imagine a more hospitable environment for these things to be operating in. How come I'm on my 3rd one?
Yeah, well, maybe in
what did they say?
Oh yeah, they work. This is very, very strange. This has never happened before. Blah blah blah. And that's why I'm still using it. But this one has worked as longer than either of the first 2 did. So
well, that's encouraging.
That's encouraging. Yes, I know.
We really should have a sponsor that's to do with backup and data stuff, because I mean, all of us, most of our listeners are going to be running into these sort of things, and for a lot of them, something like Gobbler or one of the online storage systems, or you can actually get an Amazon drive as well, where it just basically just fires everything up. And I guess with audio, it's likely, I mean, video, it's perhaps not so feasible because you're generating larger amounts of data, generally speaking. But
to get to a larger point about this, there is no real good long-term solution for this stuff that I've found or that anybody has suggested to me. There literally isn't one. And I think we are existing in a period of history where there could be an enormous hole in the recorded history of our time, because who's going to be able to read any of this stuff in 50 years?
Yeah,
I know.
That's true enough. I guess
like treading water, isn't it? It's just like you it just seems like every few years you go, oh crap, right, this is all gonna fall apart. I'll put it all on this, and then you're forever just sort of offloading it, desperately trying to keep it viable to come back to.
Absolutely. A mistake we all make at that point.
I've got a USB engraver coming next week. That you take stone tablets and it engraves all the data in really, and then you put them in the garden like cemetery slabs, but they're actually all your data.
It's like barcode, granite barcode, right? Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. I haven't got that really.
No, human genome.
But it's interesting. It is interesting. I mean, what we need is a backup system that works like this. So I've got my data here. then all the changes are saved on a separate medium. So I save only the differences in the data. So the bulk of it, like the audio files, so if I'm doing destructive edits or project files. So then I've got, it's almost like the metadata is separate from the actual data. I can back up the actual data, and the metadata is the stuff that's ever changing. So you could end up with much smaller changing amounts of data that would then restore back to, little bits of audio files or whatever. I mean, it just seems like there's...
Well, the really simple solution to that would be if the workstation in the audio folder just created a file with a date, and basically you create a whole new set of audio files for your session in a separate folder each time you open the session. I know it's going to get slightly confusing, but no, it would still go wrong.
It is. It's just, as we've talked about before, a lot of what we do as sort of creative people in the digital domain is IT management, and this is a perfect example of that very thing.
I looked on Wikipedia because I was thinking, what's a petabyte? And I think a petabyte is 1,024 terabytes, isn't it? Because I was going back to the topic, the Sony thing.
Yeah.
That stores 148 terabytes. So to store a petabyte, you'd need about 10 tapes, wouldn't you? 9 or 10 tapes. And when I looked up petabyte on Wikipedia, I scrolled down and it said Google processes 24 petabytes of data, or processed 24 petabytes of data a day in 2009. So that's like 200 tapes or something of those Sony tapes of data every day.
Yeah, and that was in 2009.
BBC's iPlayer uses 7 petabytes of bandwidth every month, and it's so like they're backing this stuff up. But how are we going to get it? When are we going to get it back, or will we ever need to get it back? Or who would ever be able to watch everything that's ever been on the BBC? It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's worth mentioning though that current technology, which is LTO tapes, which I spotted some here, they'll do 2.5 terabytes native or 6.25 compressed. They're about £2,000 for a drive, and then you get a tape is about 50 quid. So it's not actually that different to, I think I used AIT or whatever it was before. I've been through several systems. So yeah, it's still an expensive business.
I mean, like all these things, the rule of thumb's got to be, hasn't it? I mean, I've just now stripped everything to audio and never leave anything running as anything live. There's one thing bringing back audio, it's going to be another thing bringing back any of these other instruments, plugins, anything else. It's the only thing, the only way of having any chance of bringing anything back is to do that.
Print it.
So,
but theoretically, once you've got a working system, if you had the money, you would duplicate the hardware and you'd put it in a little box somewhere and put it away. And then if you ever need to come back to that, you've got, you'd get the entire system out. The whole system needs to be the backup, not just the data.
I think Rich is agreeing there.
Therein is the U2 story. Apparently, at the end of every album, they take everything they used to make it, put it on pallets, wrap it in plastic, and store it in a warehouse.
Perfect.
Wow.
Perfect.
Well, like, to what degree?
Hardware.
Well, I haven't been there for this process, but that's how it was described to me.
Wow. Okay. Well, I suppose
the whole computer, the drives, everything you use.
I mean, it makes perfect sense to do that. It's sort of, I mean, the amount of things where I've gone to load sessions, old sessions from like 1993 or 4 or 5 or whatever, and then I've gone, oh God, I can't actually load this. And then I've had to go on eBay and source all the stuff. So I went out and bought a really old Mac and a sample cell card, and I had to get hold of the Pro Tools interface, a really old one, and everything. Just so so I've got sample cell. I paid £5 for it, by the way.
Nice.
Just to put that in perspective.
I paid quite a lot for
mine. It still didn't work properly. It was really ropey.
Oh man, that's an interesting. There's got to be a service which just can recreate a kind of typical system from 19 something or other. So you just get, because with virtualization, surely there must be. It's very. I think we're probably getting a little bit carried away there. Sorry, Brett, you wanted to come in.
Well, I've just refreshed some sessions that we did between 1999 and 2002 so that they could be properly accessed and worked on today. And that took some doing, although almost everything has been always in audio for us because I saw this coming years ago. So that part wasn't difficult, but it took some doing to get all of these things playing and current.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can't get hold of the old versions of the software. So unless you keep all your installers, if something goes wrong with that machine and you want to reinstall something, I've got a PC now, so I've gone back to the PC. I've got a legal version of Logic, so I've got Logic Platinum on one of those blue eMagic keys, but I can't find an installer for it. If I want to load. I've got an installer for Logic 5 for the PC, but apparently if you try and run 5.5 on a 64-bit system, it doesn't work. So the suggestion is to go back to 5.2 or 5.3, I think. But where am I going to get that disk from? I don't have it. And there's no manufacturer website with that anymore. So I've got the nice dongle, but I can't run the program.
Oh, my heart bleeds for you. Yeah, it's a difficult thing. Anyway, we should probably move on. We've got an advert and a competition to do and everything. So talk amongst yourselves while I run the ad. So I'm pressing the button, and it usually takes a little while to get started. We want to say thank you very much to iZotope for sponsoring the show. What you're seeing here is iZotope's RX3. Of course, it's the fastest, easiest way to repair and restore audio. Massive suite of very, very useful tools. Includes removing or reducing reverb from vocals, instruments, or more using the revolutionary Dereverb module. You can also, if you want, increase the reverb too, of course. Clean up dialogue on the fly with Dialogue Denoiser, new audio standard for real-time dialogue treatment, very useful for video and all that kind of stuff. If you want to reduce some of the room sounds. In fact, I heard a clip on the radio this morning of a footballer in a changing room, and I thought, why didn't they use Dereverb on it? It would have sounded so much better. Anyway, monitor your audio and loudness compliance using Insight, spectral repair, denoise, declip, declick, decrackle, and more. You can pinpoint problems faster. Also, the workflow in RX3 is greatly enhanced. We did a great piece with Matt Hines, who showed us the tabbed browsing, the multiple versions of documents, all of that kind of stuff. Just go and get one. RX3, iZotope.com/RX will get you a demo. But we've also got a competition winner. If you've been following the show for the past few weeks, you'll know that iZotope have been sponsoring the show. And in fact, last week, they gave away a copy of iZotope RX3, and what you had to do was tweet the no more noise hashtag, and you tweet that to Sonic Nick and iZotope Inc. And we have a winner from last week, and the winner is someone called Passius, who's our Twitter handle. So it is a Twitter only, I'm afraid. So Passius, if you're listening, I will try and contact you via Twitter as well. The iZotope Ferry will be coming your way and dropping a little bundle of joy into your email inbox, so you can now enjoy RX3. And we've got another competition this week, and the competition is same again. Basically, you need to be on Twitter. You need to tweet out iZotope RX3. You need to tweet out the hashtag RX3 Dereverb, and you send that to at Sonic Nick and at iZotope. So just send it out. You can send that. Any other comments are also welcome. We always like to see comments over Twitter. Honestly, it's well worth even just signing up for Twitter just for the competition, because the odds are pretty good. So remember, you have to tweet out RX3 Dereverb at Sonic Nick at iZotope Inc. And I have a little search monitoring, and I get a big list of everybody who's there. I take a random number from randomnumbergenerator.org and count up from the bottom, and that's the person that wins. And this week it was, as I say, at Passius. So thank you very much to iZotope for sponsoring the show, as ever. Right, back into the rest of the show. Let me see, what's the next one? Secret weapons. This was kind of interesting. There was a thread on Reddit, which is a great source. This is Reddit synthesizers, the synthesizers Reddit, and basically the question was, what's your secret weapon? Very simple. And there's some really good ones in here. I thought perhaps, it doesn't have to be to do with synthesizers, but, obviously we don't have everybody giving trade secrets away, but there's usually a little something that you just kind of think, oh, that usually does it for me. And there's some really great tips in here that I found, actually. This one was particularly good. This is by Mixertech. Roland Juno pads, overdubbed a few times, at least 3, sometimes up to 9, sounds... Oh, I probably shouldn't say that. Huge. So best used sparingly for emphasis. I like that one. And there was another one a bit further down. There we go. All his bass patches are done with a high-pass filter with the resonance up. And I don't know if it's quite a common synthesis trick. You take a high-pass filter, you peak the resonance, and you get a massive sort of spike of resonance. And if you could get that to track, then you get a lot of sub in there as well if you need them. And the other one that was good, using an LFO set up to sample and hold and then modulate the rate of another LFO set to a traditional wave shape and then use that for sort of subtle variations. I liked all of those. I thought they were some really nice ones on the synthesis side. So there's a few there. So I will go over to our panel now. Mark, did you have any secret weapons that you tend to... obviously, if it's top secret, then you best keep it for yourself. But anything you care to share?
Don't EQ anything when you're recording it unless it's got something really wrong with it. So stacking vocals, I think that's one of my secret weapons. If I'm doing choruses, I record 30 goes at the same thing, all on top of each other with absolutely no EQ on it at all, and then just top and tail it, cut it in really tight, and any of the room ambience and all the other kind of crap that goes on the recording makes it sound nice and sort of ambient and big and fat, and stack, do the pans starting in the middle and then spreading out as you record more and more of them, and do different voices, so you're doing like and stuff,
and
and and E and ooh and
R. Yeah. That's a great tip, Mark. Thank you very much. That's a top one.
It's fast to do, and it makes for like these big stacks of really powerful vocals.
Well, I'm sure in certainly in American productions, which are renowned for their excellence in vocal vocal recording and building up. There is a sort of a tradition of that, and that's probably something similar to what they do.
I suppose the tip really is avoid tinkering with things when you're recording them, because it hampers the creative process to spend a lot of time playing around trying to get the sound right. So if you've got an idea, run with the idea and just record. It doesn't matter what vocal sound you get on the way down, because the stuff we've got in digital audio workstations, the EQ we've got available to us now is so powerful that you can probably fix most things, unless you stand next to like a building site recording. But theoretically, if you're in a relatively quiet space, plug the mic in and run with that.
What you feel.
Yeah,
very good.
Get on with it.
Get on. That's a very, very good piece of advice there, Mark. Oh no, Rich. I'm guessing some of yours are probably classified, but there must be one or two things you can share.
It's just, I don't think in terms of tips. I think Mark's point about ceding to the creativity at all times is really useful. And I was going to make some kind of vague point about being musical in your application of these things. But and yes, stacking vocals is something we do a lot of. There's just a million things I do that I don't think are all that special that I assume everybody knows about. So I'm not quite sure what ends up being a tip. And I keep changing the way I do things. So I guess and what I've learned from that is that it still ends up sounding like me, no matter what I've used. So I don't know if that's a tip or an observation, but be yourself, be musical, cede to the creative process, and support the artistry going on around you.
That's all sage words and good advice. Thank you very much. That's great. Gaz, I know you wanted to come in on this topic because you mentioned it earlier. So fire away.
Okay, it's going to be a bunch of rapid secret tips.
Okay.
One of which is mic your studio monitors with an SM57 and then play out your guitar your guitar stuff that you recorded directly through something like a pod or whatever. Play it out through the speakers and mic the speakers with a 57. I know it sounds like a lot of hassle, but it's interesting. It just seems just to sort of make the recording sound more like a
real thing.
Yeah, it's a really simple thing. I do a lot of things. I mic the speakers quite a lot when I'm MIDI schmidi. I call when I think something sounds like MIDI. It just doesn't sound real. I just play it out the speakers and mic this. And the distance I mic the speakers away from has a big effect on that as well.
Interesting.
I do it a lot. I've done it for years. That it's. But I don't know that many people do that. So,
which speaker do you mic? The top or the bottom, or the middle?
Yeah, when I'm doing the guitar, I get away from the tweeter as much as possible anyway, and sort of and try and treat the speaker as I would mic in a guitar amp a little bit, but angle it But if you use a 57 anyway, you know,
Gonna dull it off plenty.
Attenuates a bit of the top anyway. Yeah. So, but definitely explore that if you're recording guitars and feeling that they're sounding like, you know,
dead
or model. You know, it feels. The other thing is a mastering thing, and I won't mention who I use, and I'll keep that secret. But what I've done is I've set some music that I really know always sounds good. Famous, you know, someone else, you know, like a commercial recording that always sounds good, and I've taken the EQ curve of it, and I always import. There's a bunch of them that I use, but I know that they always sound good, and I import them into the mastering project that I'm working on, and I can always just jump between the thing I'm working on and that, and I can import the EQ curve into the soft. Well, I use Ozone, and I can.
Okay, so it's like you import the model.
The EQ model,
right,
yeah. So, or I set the on the spectrum analyzer, I set the holes to be infinite, and I play the track that I know always sounds good, and then that sets the that leaves like a curve.
So you're aiming for, and can you match that underneath so that you can then?
Well, what I do is it's all really to do with bass. I look at the bass and I look at the way that the EQ curve corresponds, and then it's generally to do with their confidence about pushing the bass for things where you want the bass to be really juicy, you know, because these tracks I use have got great bass that just seems to translate on all systems. So it's really good, and when I listen to it on different systems, then I get like a smug feeling of like, yeah,
that's that sound.
Yeah,
I'm
going to keep my secret. The secret is I'm going to keep who I use secret.
Okay, right. There are definitely some tracks that have that sort of soupy kind of moist bass quality that you just think, how do you do that? I remember that there was a whole load of Gabriel recordings which had that kind of vibe to them, which were really just sort of like, wow, how does that work? But yeah, that's an interesting idea. Thank you very much, Gaz. Are you done, or do you have more? That's plenty, by the way. So you don't feel you have to. Okay, Robbie, a man with such an enormous array of tools at his disposal.
Okay.
Do you have that?
Two
right. Okay.
For you. There are two things. The first one's a bit of software which has revolutionised my studio life, which is SynchroArt's Revoice Pro.
Okay.
Which is it's kind of based on their vocal line, where you could take a vocal and you could. It was basically designed for dubbing, for when you want to dub one bit of dialogue to another.
Oh, so ADR stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but what Revoice Pro is fantastic for is you can take a vocal and you can take perhaps a second vocal, which is a track, and whereas before you could just synchronize the two together to get all the diction and the P's and the S's and T's and everything together. You can actually do tuning as well. So if you melodyne one vocal and get it exactly as you want, really tight and nice, you can then throw that into Revoice Pro with the other one you haven't done anything to, and not only will it correct the timing to the amount you want, however close or inaccurate you want, but you can also get it to track the tuning however close or inaccurate you want.
Oh, that's a
neat
tip.
So you can instantly generate very good double tracks. And then it has a doubling function, so you can then take those doubles and double them into stereo tracks and double them again and double them again. So you can create...
That's neat.
So if I get a really good singer to sing all my songs, and they sing my songs for me and do it perfectly, and then I sing them really badly, I could get this thing to get their timing and diction and tuning with my voice.
Wow. I've had rappers in before, inverted commas. I've had a rapper in before who wasn't very good. And although I can't rap because it's the most ridiculous thing, I redid the rap and it sounded ridiculous, but I used my timing and totally imported my timing onto his performance. Things like that.
I think I know that guy.
It's mad. Anyway, but it's that's my favourite bit of software at the moment.
That's a really interesting idea, because also not only that, it's going to save you hours of endless tweaking as well.
It's a brilliant.
It's magic. It's about £400, but it's really worth. If you work with vocals a lot, and it's really worth getting.
Is it a plugin or is it a
It works
standard?
a bit like Melodyne in that you run your audio through it with a plugin host in your host, and it kind of writes it into the program. But if you work with Pro Tools, you can automatically import it backwards and forwards. With Logic, you just can drag the WAV files straight back into the timeline. But it's fantastic. So
right.
that's my vocal tip. And
excellent.
The other thing that I do a lot now is I've got special Logic setups where if I want to do a lot of interesting processing, like with things like Break Tweaker or Stutter Edit or Tornadoes, by Sugar Bytes, I've got this Logic session with a lot of these processes already set up in them, and lots of individual channels with like reverbs, delays, spreaders, and all that kind of thing. And I can very easily put a bit of audio into there, chop it up, and just drop it between the tracks to kind of create collages of interesting things without having to go, right, set up one of these effects and one of these effects, etc.
Oh, that's interesting. Is it not, so? It would be. It's not like recalling a channel strip. It's actually more of a. Right.
It's a whole auto load with loads of stuff loaded in. So I go out of Logic and take audio into it.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I do exactly the same thing, and then I just cut and paste between different tracks. So I have one piece of audio, and then I just chop it up into bits, and then move things up and down on different tracks, so it moves from one effect to another effect. And so rather than have to mess around with automations or sends or anything, you just kind of got everything there that you want to do.
Yeah.
It's another good tip I was going to mention. Put an EQ on your reverb bus, on your reverb send. Put an EQ after it, and then make it an easy to automate EQ, one that's not too fiddly, and then automate the top end of the reverb return as you play the track. So when you want the reverb to kind of have more of you just map it to like I use an AI knob for Cubase, and then I ride that knob, and it's essentially changing the top end of the reverb as an automation throughout the track. And then you can make the reverb, you can really rein it in when you don't want it to be visible, or you can like really push it in the choruses, and you give a big, it feels like you're riding the size of it in a way.
That sounds like a great idea. I've not tried that before. Interesting. Well, these are all useful way. Thank you very much for giving it up, guys. That's a whole. That's almost a show in itself. So thank you very much. That's brilliant. I suppose I don't know if we've got time for another quick topic. And what did I have lined up? Is there anything in the list that anybody wanted to? I think we've got two. There's the Spotify Silent album. Should we do that one, because that's just a neat bit of stuff. I like that, so I'm going to play this now. So this is.
I sat down with Vulfpeck to talk about potentially touring this fall. They said they'd do it under one condition: that all the shows would be free. I replied, "That's not a problem." Yes. Here's how it works. Vulfpeck released Sleepify, the album, last week on Spotify. This album's different than our previous albums. This album's much quieter. In fact, we believe it's the most silent album ever recorded. When you listen to a Vulfpeck song on Spotify, Spotify pays us 0.5 cents. So if you were to listen to Sleepify all night on repeat, you'd generate $4. Now here's my proposal to you, but I want it to be personal. So let's move this over to FaceTime. I'm proposing that if you stream Sleepify on repeat while you sleep every night, we will be able to tour without charging admission. And if you don't already have Spotify, for a limited time, Spotify is going to throw in the entire history of recorded music. Also, we're going to...
Great bit of... this is sort of... I'm sure this happened some time ago, but it seems to have just sort of really kind of got picked up by TechCrunch or The Verge, or, and it's just a great bit, excellent, promotional video where you just think, what a great idea. And there's something slightly naughty about it that probably meant people were like really up for it, because everybody Spotify, as we've known, it's a great service if you're a listener, but perhaps if you're a working musician, it doesn't feel like you're getting much back from it. It's like presumably the record company's getting the license fee and the artist is actually getting 0.5 cent per listen. That's millions and millions of listens before you start to make any cash. So this was quite just a really but they've actually pulled it. They wouldn't have it. They said it violated the terms and service. But I just really like the idea. I mean, I remember this this whole thing just feels really kind of cool. In fact, it reminds me a little bit, Mark. Do you remember when you first came on the show? The reason you came on the show is because you'd sort of spoofed, was it YouTube with listens?
Yeah, I'd
same
set
sort of deal.
up a redirect page that was
reloading. That's right. It was reloading
it over and I got in the charts, hadn't I?
That's right.
And then they caught me, unfortunately. But anyway.
But there was no, I mean, the thing is, there was no cash involved in that necessarily. But in terms of sales, it generates interest. As we all know, charts work because if you see something at the top of the chart, people go, ooh, what's that? They just tend to.
Yeah,
so I'm guessing the same thing must have happened to Spotify. I don't know if they actually got paid. Somebody said that, they made $20,000, which I think is kind of cool in many ways. And but I guess the question I would ask is, why didn't they just make 30-second excerpts of their actual tracks? Because then at least somebody might have listened to it as well. But that's another point.
Yeah.
But
that's why it's called Sleepify, though,
yes,
isn't it?
I suppose so.
One of them
So
sleep, yeah.
It had to be. But the good thing for me was I was a big fan of Vulfpeck before.
Yeah, their stuff's great. I'd never heard it before. It's really funky.
There we are. You see, it's done a fantastic amount of publicity for the band. I mean, it is old news now in terms of, it's, well, I say it's old news. It's a couple of months now, isn't it? So, but the band now people know about, and it's like, wow, they've achieved that in this day and age. I think that's the most remarkable thing about it, because it was on the BBC News website. It was all over the place, and like, the band got exposure because they were a real kind of small band, really, like a kind of little cult little band. So I'm very intrigued now to kind of keep an eye on the festival circuit to see how like big they're going to be perceived. I mean, it's a groovy band, and the bass player, the bass player Joe Dart, I think it's Joe Dart. It's immense, absolutely immense. He's like a new hero.
Excellent stuff.
If they're getting 0.5 cent a play and they made $20,000, that's 4 million plays. So how many fans did they have to pull that off? Because
it's the news, Mark. It was all the news, the exposure in the news.
Okay. Well, it depends how long it's been going on.
It also makes you think something else as well. If Spotify pay musicians after 30 seconds, we were talking about formats a couple of weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, where we were saying that iTunes allows for an unlimited track length, doesn't it? So you could create like 4-hour-long albums and sell them to people on iTunes, albums that you couldn't put on a physical CD. But then won't this drive musicians to create 35-second songs? Because if you get paid after the first 35 seconds, then why does the song need to be any longer if you're ruthless and in it for the money?
My time is money, yeah. In this case, that's a good point. That's an interesting idea, isn't it? It's a very interesting idea. I know, Rich, are you aware of this band? I'd never heard of them, but I checked out some of their material, and they do these sort of live recording things, and it's very... it's just really quite groovy, and the sound of it is really nice. It's got a really kind of sort of retro but warm feel as well. Minimal, I think, would say. Rhodes and organ and piano and bass and what have you.
Tasty.
Yeah. You aware of it?
I'm not. No, I'm not familiar with them.
Good wheeze though, don't you think?
Good what?
A good wheeze.
I didn't hear any music associated with this topic, and maybe I just didn't do the research properly, but I thought I had researched this thing according to the link you sent. But
no, so I mean, but apart from that, I mean, in terms of the actual idea itself, I mean, it does two things, doesn't it? It highlights the kind of ridiculous amount of royalty that you get via streaming services, as we've discussed this in the past, for musicians to actually sort of generate any cash. I mean, 4 million plays sounds low for $20,000 to me, to be honest, but that's, because from what we've seen of other people publishing their royalties, but also the publicity of the band is just very creative, I thought. And almost like a protest album in it with no audio.
Okay. I guess I thought it was clever on some level, but on the other, hand, I felt like somebody was picking my pocket. I mean, not that I actually listen to Spotify, but I would feel like somebody was picking my pocket. I don't know. I don't know how anybody can afford to do anything in this business anymore. So anything anybody does creatively to try to generate funding is on some level cool with me. Although in this case, you're kind of spamming the medium, and apparently they got caught and were told to stop. Is that right?
Yeah.
So the people who run Spotify weren't happy with this little scheme, but it's clever and it was cool. It's kind of fun, Viva la Revolution and all that, know. I get it, but I don't have a strong feeling about it.
I don't know. What do you think, Robbie? There's something kind of naughty and quite...
Yeah, that's what made me laugh about the whole thing, really, was that whole thing. I mean, like you say, why didn't they make it with music? Well, obviously that was the whole point, wasn't it? I mean, it was to prove a point, and it was kind of to be a little bit kind of naughty and subversive with the whole thing. Well, it's... It does. For me, it was interesting to like Gaz said. I didn't know about them before, so I've been to check them out since. So it did its job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, yeah, hats off to them.
Yeah.
Hats off to them for that lateral thinking.
Yes, I think that's it. It's that, as I think when we probably early shows where we were kind of, it's like how you have to become a marketing expert almost, to get anywhere. You have to have a thing, don't you, to get noticed, because there's so much of it around and so much other things to take our attention. So, but yeah, nice work. So you can check them out at, where have I got it? Now I've lost my link. Oh, that's all a bit rubbish. No, I've lost it completely. Excellent. I haven't done much research myself there. I thought I had a video to play of them, and it was quite a groovy video. But that's probably it for this week, actually, because it's time to head off to do the things that we have to do after work. If you're in the UK and if you're in the States, you probably have to go and do your actual work. So I'm going to say to Rich Hilton, thank you very much for joining us, Rich. It's been a pleasure to have you as ever. And we look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Super. And thank you very much, Mark Tinley. Your hair is looking resplendent in profile there. And the mic works. So that's the USB version, right?
Excellent. Yeah, it's really good, actually. I mean, I bought it off eBay, second-hand, £20.
Nice. That's the way to do it.
I plugged it in and it just works. And I don't know. There's something about that, isn't there? I mean, rather than dragging all of these power supplies and valve things and trying to find the XLR cables and all the cack that goes with all the other stuff that I've got, and then plugging it in and then the driver not working properly and 101 other things, to just have something that I can plug in when I feel inspired is brilliant. And
how are you monitoring at the moment? Are you listening to us on the speakers, or are you got the
I am listening to you on speakers. I could plug headphones into the laptop, I suppose. But if I listen to you on speakers, I can stand up and walk around the kitchen and make cups of tea and everything.
Yeah, yes. That's it. What man was born to do.
Can I mention, actually, that last week I'm experimenting with the idea of releasing some of my sounds as a VST sample library. So I created a VST plugin last week with some... it's just got the solfeggio frequency things that I've been playing around with, but it's more of an experiment just to see how good the software that I used to create it with is. But it's on my website, the marktinley.co.uk one, under the Sound of Art menu. And I'm just about to rename it Free VST Plugins, the label, so that people can find it. But I'd like to know how well it works, actually. If anybody wants to download it and try it and give me an email and tell me, yes, Mark, it works really well, or no, it's rubbish. Either would be useful to know.
No, I'm just trying
to go and grab it.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for that. And also, thank you, Robbie Bronnimann, for sharing your tips. I don't know, we'll see you again before you're off. I suppose you will if you're going for weekends.
Yeah, I'm around. Yeah.
Excellent. And I'm glad you got your data back. It's always nice to have a good happy ending to a story like that.
Yeah, it made me go around the house and back up all the domestic computers and everything. I was in a frenzy.
Oh, don't! I'm starting to feel that way now. But yeah, I must make another image of my working machines here now. Yes. So anyway, well, thank you very much, and also thank you very much, Gaz Williams, gazwilliams.me, where you can find out what Gaz does. Oh,
kudos to Teenage Engineering. I've got to be honest. blown me away. I had to send this back because the internal speaker had stopped working, and I was really gutted to do it because I love it so much, and it was a horrible thing to my little thing, and send it back to Sweden. But they turned it around incredibly quickly, and when it came back, they'd buffed the scratches out of the screen, put a screen protector on, cleaned it up, and I just was so impressed by that.
That's a nice touch,
service. Isn't it? Yeah, because they're expensive pieces of kit, as a lot of people kind of complain about. But I mean, that was an awesome service. So I just thought I would just mention that. So very, very delighted I was.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad to hear. Nice to see a bit of good customer service in this day and age. Anyway, that's it for this week. I'm trying to think if I got a video for. I'm going to play it. See what happens. Yeah. Oh no, that's not it. Was this it? No, that's not it either. I haven't got a video to play out. So. That'll be it for this week. I'll fade to black instead. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody in the chat room. And don't forget, enter the iZotope competition. You need to tweet. Oh, that's not it, is it? It's up there. RX3 Dereverb, Sonic Nick at iZotope Inc. And we'll pick a winner for next week. Thank you very much. Goodbye.